Hey guys, Angry Monkey here.
And Jackson Farrell.
And we're playing some more 999, and we had some pretty crazy stuff that happened in the last episode. I mean, that Egyptian princess lady, she might be alive, and on the Titanic walking around, she might have killed the captain.
Got ourselves a creepy killer on the loose, maybe. Other than just Zero and his weird mind games. And a suicidal 9 guy, and whoever was swapped out for Snake. And of course we know who attempted to off Snake.
Okay, so now we just got to figure out this. And since we've already figured it out, we could either take a brief pause and figure it out, or do it for the episode, but I think it would just be easier to
move into position.
Yes. Okay, guys, we're back.
So we are.
And the answer is
8 digits, huh?
The answer is 8 digits. Okay.
Vorp.
So 35, 14, 27, 24. And I did that all from memory.
Yep, we didn't have to look up anything.
So we're able to get out of this room.
Oh, did you see Clover's celebration there?
Yeah, I saw that.
She was Clover-joyed.
Ha ha ha!
We're really funny.
I mean, at least we can be. I hope you think we're funny. Oh.
A note?
A note?
Yeah? I found it in the pocket of the guy with the captain's clothes. It said something about the darkness of the sinister hand or something.
What the... Let me see it.
But Junpei wasn't going to get to see it. From the other end of the hall, he heard Ace's voice.
Hey, Junpei! Clover! What are you two doing? Hurry up!
Clover shrugged.
I'll show you later on.
I'll add it to the list.
Come on, we gotta hurry!
Before Junpei could protest, she was gone. Around the corner and off down the long stem of the L. A note. A note. Junpei was curious, but there was something else that bothered him. Her pocket had been bulging, far more than it would have from just a note.
Huh.
Junpei did his best to convince himself that it would make sense later, and ran off after Clover.
Could it be an axe?
Maybe she's going to kill Santa and Seven, because supposedly they're... Well, no, because Seven's alive, or Snake's alive now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we can skip through all of this. Not very much, but okay.
Clover doesn't care if you kill other people.
Jumpy! Clover!
June's face was excited. And
This is new.
so something had happened. That much Junpei could tell by simply looking at her.
What's up?
Given their situation, he was not inclined to be excited about sudden developments. June, however, couldn't contain herself.
We found it!
Found what?
We found it!
What did you find?
The last door! We found door 9!
What? Come on, just follow us. We'll explain on the way. Okay, let's go.
Seven turned and jogged down the stairs. Is this... No, it's not. Okay, this is new.
We finally made it!
The relief and excitement in her voice echoed what each one of them felt.
Yeah, it's finally time.
Junpei wasn't quite ready to believe they'd really done it, at least not just yet. Still, if everyone said it was door 9, then it probably was not.
Thanks, Ace.
he could feel his heart racing. A mixture of anticipation and fear ran through his veins, and he could feel his legs shaking. He was doing his best to maintain a sense of healthy skepticism, but he couldn't deny that the prospect of escape was an exciting one.
Just trying to keep his anticipation in check.
Yeah. But there was one thing he couldn't get off his mind. The numbered door could only accommodate between 3 and 5 people. There were 7 of them on their way to door 9. That meant even the best case scenario, there would be 2 of them who would have to stay behind. 2 people.
Oh, we are in uncharted territory now.
Yeah. He didn't have any solution to that problem yet, but he was desperately hoping one would present itself. Junpei looked over at the clock. The hands indicated that it was 4:30. They had 90 minutes before their time was up. Hey, Junpei man, June, man, what are you two doing, man? Hurry it up! Santa's voice jolted Junpei out of his reverie.
Let's go, Jumpy.
June took off down the stairs, jogging as quickly as she could. Junpei followed. Okay, got C deck. I guess we're using the elevator.
Yep. All dry.
Unless you're too afraid to be stuck in the elevator with the boy, June.
Yeah.
Shut up, Jumpy. That was a different playthrough.
Oh yeah, we don't even get that choice this time.
Well, I skipped through it.
Oh, but
That was when they found door 1 and we found door 6.
well, why didn't the dialogue choice pop up where
Oh,
we can be clueless and weird?
We've
You clicked through it?
yeah, because
Alright.
we've already done both.
Oh yes, okay.
Okay, so as a group, they found E deck. There was a metal grate.
I know I told you I'd explain it earlier, but honestly, there ain't that much to explain. After we split off from you guys, the 4 of us got onto the elevator on the left, and that took us to the other side of the grate. After
great.
that,
They'd headed down another hallway. It took them toward the bow of the ship and eventually to the numbered 6 that Junpei and June had found earlier. With 4, they'd been able to open the door and keep going. As usual, they faced a locked door, but had been forced to complete 2 different areas before they could unlock it. Once they were through that door, there was another hallway that went into the other direction towards the stern.
so on your way you found the elevator. That's right. So in other words, you kind of did a lap, huh? You came from that side to this side. Yeah.
With that settled, Junpei looked around.
So, where's the number 9 door? Over here. Follow me.
7 began walking down the hallway that led towards the thirn. The thirn?
The thirn.
The stern.
Thirn.
The thirn.
Junpei and the others broke into a jog to keep up with him.
They had been walking for a while. June in silent step with Junpei when she spoke.
You don't want to do the new
That's too difficult. No.
You know it's because of Santa that we're all here, right?
narrator? Lisp mode activated. Huh?
That all 7 of us are going to door 9. You don't get it? Santa, 7, Lotus. That's their digital route.
Yeah, that equals 9.
9. It's 9.
That's right. They could have just left me and kept going if they wanted to.
But they didn't.
Yes, because Santa wouldn't let them. He said, "We can't leave you behind, man." That's why we went looking for you guys. And then you got on the...
Oh,
And then you got on the elevator and went back to the central staircase.
That's right.
That's what I was just about to say. Well, I wouldn't have called that one. That Santa would be the one to stick up for you, I mean.
Junpei felt his eyebrows knit as he considered that.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Perhaps June had sensed Junpei's concern.
I don't mean that 7 and Lotus said they wanted to leave me behind. We were just talking about it and Santa objected to it first.
Junpei was about to respond when 7 suddenly stopped. In front of them stood a door.
So, is this?
There's no 9 on this door. Junpei couldn't see 7's face, but he could see him nod.
There's no other place for us to go? Nope. Just look around.
At the end of the hallway was a thick iron wall. To the left and right of other hallways led to the port and starboard sides of the ship. They were both closed off by thick metal grates.
You need a big block of cheese to grate anything with those.
Yeah. It looked as though 7 was right. and the door in front of them was their only choice.
Alright, let's get moving.
He pulled open the door and walked in. Junpei took a deep breath and followed. It appeared they'd been telling the truth. The first thing Junpei saw as he entered the room was the number 9. Like all the others, it was a rough thing made of red paint or blood. The door it decorated sat on the back wall of a rectangular room. Junpei ran up to it. It was a large double door with powerful styling. Something about it was almost majestic, and it made the red paint look especially garish. Junpei grabbed the handle and shook. It didn't budge, but then he hadn't really expected it to. Is this? No, okay. Can't skip it. I know we've been in this room before. The red was bolted to the wall next to the door. Its display read vacant.
Well, we haven't been here with this particular crew, have we?
That's true.
An all-new crew.
Finally, they'd arrived. Junpei felt a flood of emotion wash over him. He felt a chill down his back, and his chest tightened even as his blood began to boil. He was about to speak when... Junpei, man, look behind you! He turned around. Junpei could scarcely believe what he saw.
It was Clover with the axe!
Oh no!
No, that's a different ending!
A door. And a 9. There was another one.
Hey! What the crud? What the crap and crud is going on here?
His words came slowly, and his brain struggled to understand what he'd seen. On shaky legs, he made his way to the second 9. It was a small door set parallel to the door they'd come through, but in the other corner of the room. 9. There was no mistaking the number, and if any more proof was needed, a red was bolted to the wall near the door. Of course it's a 9!
Well, if you were standing on your head, maybe it would look like a 6.
But since you're not, it's clearly a 9. He grabbed the handle and shook the door, not because he expected it to open, but because he wanted to make sure it was real. Yeah, it's a real door.
I mean, someone might have accidentally been trying to draw an 8 and stopped halfway. Why the crap are there 2 doors?
It was Ace who spoke first.
Do you think perhaps one is the right door and the other is the left one? Or the wrong one? I'm not saying necessarily that the left one is the wrong one.
Lotus was skeptical.
I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure the right one is the left one. Any other scenario seems unlikely.
What makes you say so?
Well, think about all the rooms we've been through so far. They're full of puzzles, but there are always hints about how to solve them. I'm pretty sure there aren't any rooms where we just had to go with our best guess and leave it to instinct to solve the puzzle. Do you really think that at the end of the game, Zero's suddenly going to throw in something that depends entirely on luck?
Get sick. Something else that...
Well, we'll proceed. We'll get
Okay.
over this hump. Then
Something I can't explain in this game.
Then you're saying that there's some sort of hint in this room.
No, I don't think there's a hint anywhere in here. I searched it very well when I was in here before. I didn't find anything that might have been a hint, though.
Well, that means...
Yeah, man, both of them are the right door. Right door. I mean, if you think about it, man, Zero never actually said there's only one door with a 9 on it. Oh, Junpei saying it this time.
The exit is hidden, but it is there. Seek the exit. Seek the door that carries A9. Not the 9, A9.
Junpei, man, you gotta do the sounds.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta do my best Zero impersonation. How's this?
You forgot to breathe, man.
How's this?
Better, man.
It takes a little practice. I haven't had much practice. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, if you would have been practicing, then you could have gotten out sooner, man. Don't waste your time practicing on an impersonation of
So
Zero.
there are 2 number 9 doors, If we split it up right...
That's not gonna work!
Junpei blinked and looked up at Clover. She held out her hand.
You've got a notebook and pen, right? Can I borrow them?
Again?
Slightly confused, he pulled them out and handed them to her.
I guess so.
Well, I'd say just use your own.
Look at this!
Clover opened the notebook to a blank page and set it down on the desk. Everyone else gathered around her and watched as she wrote down a series of numbers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You get it? The numbers on the top are all the combinations with the digital roots of 9. The numbers on the bottom are the people who don't fit. There's only 8 possibilities. If you split up into 2 groups of 3 or 4 people. So, if 3 people go
If 3 people go through the door, then 4 are left behind. If 4 go through, then 3 are left behind. Right?
Clover nodded, almost as if she was pleased with herself for solving a difficult math problem.
This whole game is nothing but difficult math problems.
Yeah. The room went very quiet. Silence lay across everyone like a thick, heavy blanket. No one spoke. Their faces were blank. Desperate for something else to look at, Junpei turned his eyes to the room around him. As he did, he began to wonder, what was it? The walls were covered with candles. The wavering flame made the shadows of Junpei and his companions look as though they were dancing.
We're all Lotus now.
Yeah. Two rows of wooden pews filled most of the room. Between them was a strip of rich red carpet. And I did not mean to make that sound so dramatic.
Or sexy.
Sexy. Strip of rich red carpet. The carpet ran straight through the room, ending at the door that pointed them to the stern of the boat. At the other end of the carpet. An altar? It was a recessed space set in the wall between the 2 other doors. Sitting on a raised section of the altar was a coffin. Coffin. Coughing! No, couldn't possibly be.
Pokemon aren't real.
But if it wasn't, then whose body occupied it? That was as far as Junpei wanted to pursue that line of thought. He decided not to think about the coffin for the time being. At that moment, Seven spoke. There was an edge of humor to his voice, but it was forced.
Okay. I give up. I figured if we sat around here long enough, someone would volunteer, but I guess nobody's got the guts to do it.
Junpei didn't understand, and he wasn't the only one.
What? You guys didn't figure it out yet? Ugh, fine. Let me enlighten you. Clover was mostly right with her little explanation earlier, but she missed something. She wasn't really wrong, she just... Ugh, screw it. Let me just write it out.
Seven snatched up the notebook and began to write in it. Everyone else clustered around him, desperate for a look.
If you're trying to leave with a group of 3 and a group of 4, and get everybody out, Clover's right. But there's another way. Only one combination, though. If you split us up into 2 groups of 3, 3, and 1, you can make this combination. Wait, this means... Don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to copy Ace or anything like that. Even if he hadn't been the hero back in the hospital room, I'd still be saying the same thing. Oh, that's June.
The same thing? Are you saying...
Yeah, I am. I'll stay behind. Ah!
That's wrong, just kind of...
Why are you acting so heroic all of a sudden? Are you some kind of idiot?
Lotus was the first to speak. That in itself was a little strange. She'd reacted much differently when Ace had volunteered.
I'm completely against this. I'll be gosh darned if I'm going to have to owe you for getting out of here.
The rest of them began to speak all at once.
I'm against it too. I don't want to leave Ace behind. And I don't want to leave you either. I don't like that idea. There's gotta be other options.
I disagree as well. I can't say I care much for you being the hero.
Finally, they quieted down. Junpei looked at Seven.
Well, there you go, Seven. Proposal denied. Clover's right, there's gotta be a better way than this.
Seven made some noise that was somewhere between a derisive snort and a cough.
Doesn't make any sense.
He was doing his best to pretend they were making a foolish decision, but Junpei could see the twinkling of water at the corner of Seven's eyes. You guys care about me. That was when Seven spoke. Well, hold on. Hold on a minute, man. I haven't said anything yet. Until then, Junpei hadn't realized that Santa had stayed quietly for the whole discussion of Seven's fate. Something in his voice made Junpei uncomfortable.
Are you agreeing? You want to leave him here?
Santa shook his head. Nah. I'm against it, man. I don't want to leave Seven here alone, man.
Then I don't see how it matters.
I said alone, man.
Eh?
Said I don't want to leave Seven alone, man. There's a dull shine in Santa's eyes. They were cold and hard.
Dull shine?
Yeah, that's kind of a contradiction.
Yeah.
Junpei felt himself shiver.
Oxymoron.
Yeah.
What are you...
What, you don't get it, man? Can't leave just one person. I need 2 more, man. 3 people, including Seven. I'll be leaving behind 3 people, man. That's my proposal. No. Those are my orders, man.
What do you mean, orders? What makes you think you can order us around? I'm the captain. Arg! Who's gonna listen to you?
You all will, man. In 3 seconds, you won't have a choice.
What?
3, 2, 1. Santa was so fast, Junpei could barely see him.
Where'd he go?
When he moved, I know, it's completely black, I can't see anything. It was almost like watching a dance. His feet moving like lightning. He spun and...
He's Lotus.
Ah!
Oh, snap.
He had June. See? I told ya. His lips curled in a cruel, mocking smile. A shudder traveled the length of Junpei's spine. His chest froze. He could feel his breath go stale in his lungs. Nothing made sense. Junpei felt as though his head were about to explode. Santa's sudden change in attitude, saying that he needed 2 more. The gun in his right hand, a revolver. Santa had grabbed June from behind and pressed what Junpei's shaking brain identified as a revolver roughly against her temple. What was he doing with a gun? What on earth had Santa possibly found, or where on earth? Well, there's plenty of places on earth that have guns. Had Santa possibly found a gun? Where on this ship had Santa possibly found a gun? Junpei's questions roared in his mind, but his mouth refused to ask them. Seven spoke, almost as though he had sensed Junpei's confusion. We're almost to the end of the Coffin ending.
Oh, yes. The gun's from the other room. What room? One of the rooms behind door 6. I should have known he was going to do this. Should have taken the gun.
Well, it's too late now, fat man.
Dang it. Can't even curse about this.
Mixture of fury and frustration twisted Seven's face, and he glared at Santa. Santa, for his part, didn't so much as flinch. The corner of his lip twitched in a slight, wider smile. Then the smile faded, and he began to move. He walked backward, dragging June with him. Before long, his back was resting against the door. On the wall next to him was the red. He put his hand on the scanner panel quickly and then forced June to do the same. Now, time for you to start following my orders, man. Ace, Lotus, congratulations. I've chosen you two to come with me. Put your hands on the red. Because math equals 9. Or 18, which would then be 9. Hey, you deaf? I gave you an order! The side of fries.
Cheeseburger. Supersize it. I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, man, I haven't eaten in like 9 hours. Almost 9 hours. They stayed frozen like deer caught in the headlights of an oncoming car. Right. Fine. I didn't want to waste any bullets, but you guys just don't get it, man. No sooner were the words out of Santa's mouth that his hand twitched. The gun roared.
Gasp.
A section of the floor exploded, scattering wooden splinters across the floor. A thin plume of smoke snaked out of the hole into the floor. There could be no doubt that the gun was real, and it worked, and water started to shoot up from the floor, and they all drowned.
That line! Santa, why are you?
Clover's voice spoke of betrayal and disbelief.
Santa, I thought you were one of us.
Whoa.
Too high.
Yeah.
I thought we were friends.
What?
You knew about the leaf bird and the 5 clover.
Santa's cheek twitched almost imperceptibly. Whatever.
That thing.
That thing. What the crap is this crap? I've got no idea.
No crapping idea.
You're lying.
You're full of crap.
You're full of crap, man. Shut up. Just shut up, you stupid girl.
Stupid crap.
Stupid crap. You want me to put a bullet in your head, man? Lex's spit flew from Santa's mouth, his face twisted with rage. Clover recoiled, her eyes wide. When she spoke, her voice was very small.
Santa.
He snorted, then shook his head vigorously and turned to Ace and Lotus. Alright, buttholes. Doesn't really have the...
Yeah.
Alright, buttholes. What are you standing there for?
Kind of kills the moment.
It does. Get over here and skin those bracelets. I don't have all day. What's the matter? Your hearing starting to go? Going senile, maybe? Ace and Lotus still didn't move.
Did pick the old people.
Yeah. It almost seemed as if they couldn't move. June's face was pale behind Santa's arm. Her eyes were wild, and her chest heaved with every quick breath, like an animal cornered by a predator. Junpei's mind worked furiously what they were going to do. Then he realized something. There was nothing they needed to do. There was nothing to debate. June's safety, and Junpei's safety, I guess, was the first priority. That much was obvious. Doing as Santa had commanded meant that she would be safe from at least 2 threats. She wouldn't be shot, and she would leave the ship alive, along with Santa, Ace, and Lotus. There was only one thing for Junpei to do. He turned to Ace and Lotus.
Please, go. Huh?
What?
Jumpy, what are you saying?
If you stay here, you're gonna be... That's confusing! Why is June next to Santa?
You should put the box over there.
They should.
If you stay here, you're gonna be stuck, Jumpy. And so will Clover and 7.
I know. But you don't need to worry about us. We'll figure something out. Right, 7?
Right. You just leave it to us. It's gonna tick me off to do what Santa says, but
Don't worry about me either. There's still something I have to take care of. But no, you can't. Please, Lotus, don't do it. Don't worry about me, please.
June was almost crying. Junpei walked around behind Ace and Lotus. Without a word, he laid a hand on each of their backs and gently pushed them forward. They almost stumbled, then righted themselves and took another step, and another, and another, and another, and another. They turned around, and Junpei nodded. Ace and Lotus turned around and walked slowly toward the door where Santa was waiting for them. After what seemed like an eternity, They stopped in front of the door marked 9. Santa smiled. Alright, man. Let's get those hands on the scanner panel.
Huh?
What's the holdup, man? What, you think I'm
Messing.
messing around here?
Goofing.
I don't give a crap about this girl. The red doesn't need a person, you know. All I need is the bracelet, man. Get it? Good. And get your hands on the scanner. I'm not gonna say it again. He shoved the revolver harder against June's head, and she winced.
Fine.
Ace sighed, defeated, and placed his hand on the scanner panel. Lotus went next. Lotus glared at Santa and slammed her hand on the scanner panel. The force asterisk blinked on. Good job. Now, Lotus, pull that lever. As soon as the door opens, get your fat butt in there. Try anything stupid, and you know what happens, right?
Old wrinkly butt.
Yeah, old wrinkly butt. Junpei could almost hear Lotus's teeth grind. That's some loud grinding then.
Bye, guys.
Bye. The door slid open. Door number 9 opened at last. It opened with a low, powerful rumble, a drum roll to the welcome the chosen few. Alright,
This is going to be fun on the microphone.
go! Lotus and Ace walked through the door, their eyes furious, but defeated. Santa
You defeated my eyes!
Santa waited until they were all the way inside, then hauled himself and June across the threshold. 6, 7, 8, 9. Later. Oh,
Just 8.
just 8. 9, he's dead, man.
He gone.
After exactly 9 seconds, the door swung shut. The gust of air it created caused the candles on the altar to flicker and die. The room fell silent. Junpei, Clover, and 7 had been left behind. Clover looked down at her hand and traced with her finger the faint blue veins that crisscrossed them. 7 shoved his arms in the front of his overalls and scratched his stomach. No one spoke. Silence made the air feel thick and oppressive. Desperate for something, anything to occupy his mind, Junpei walked to the larger of the 2 9 doors. He stood in front of it and looked at the red. It read engaged. No, Santa's being engaged to June. He moved to the smaller door.
Wedding at gunpoint. Oh, the terror. It's just like Mario Odyssey.
The red, vacant. The digital root of the remaining people was 7. Oh, if we only had a 2!
Yeah. Where will we find a 2?
Junpei touched the surface of the door. He
Of all the times to forget the previous playthroughs.
He thought about June, about Akane Kurashiki. Was she safe? That was all that mattered to him. If she was alive, if she had escaped this horrible boat, that was what Junpei prayed for. 7 came up next to him. He pulled off his hat, scratched his head, and sighed.
So, what do you want to do, Junpei? What do you mean, what do I want to do? What can we do?
7 opened his mouth to respond. When?
When what?
A noise echoed through the room. Someone was pounding on something vigorously. It wasn't mechanical. It was certainly human. Junpei and 7 looked at one another.
What is that? Some kind of robot?
Shush! Quiet!
Clover mentioned to Quevin
Quevin.
Quevin to be silent.
Quevin. We're just making up all kinds of new words today.
Yeah, pretty much. She put one finger to her lips and closed her eyes in concentration. The 3 of them listened, trying to determine where the sound was coming from. Where? Where was it coming from? Could it be?
Hey, I think it's coming from this coffin.
You're right! Let's open it!
Let's open it! But how?
What are those messes for show?
You're telling me to force it open?
Use the Force, 7.
Just shut up and try! Reach out with your feelings!
Junpei and 7 grabbed a hold of the coffin. They tried to get a good grip with little purchase that they could find and pulled with all their strength.
I'm a pirate. Goof. Man, won't even budge.
There was some sort of keypad attached to the coffin. Its purpose would not have been difficult to determine. Their eyes were almost immediately drawn to it.
Not another one. Yeah, looks like it.
Do you think we have to put in the right password or something? Or want to open it?
I think so.
The noise wasn't stopping. In fact, it was getting louder. They had no idea who was in the coffin, but they wanted out, and they wanted out now. They had no idea what they were supposed to do. Without a passcode, it didn't seem like there was a lot they could do. They couldn't even tell how many numbers the passcode needed to be.
Isn't there a hint somewhere?
Well, let's look for one.
Unfortunately, there didn't seem to be anything near the coffin. Clover ran to examine the pews, and 7 investigated the desk, but they turned up nothing. The sound still wouldn't stop. It wasn't a noise that belonged in that room.
A noise out of place. What could it be?
Was that the passcode? What was Junpei supposed to do? How was he supposed to figure it out? He needed something.
The coffin.
And I think this is where the coffin ending would end, and it would just kind of be like a to be continued.
Oh.
But we do know how to progress, and we will do that next episode.
Okay.
And we will catch you guys then.
Peace, y'all.
I gotta pee.
Go. Quick.